This meeting is being video and audio recorded. Thank you. So the first order of business are the January 28th recreation meeting minutes. Those in attendance included myself, Tom, Todd, Kevin, Ann. And we have Todd sent those out a few days ago. I've taken a look at them. I don't have any suggested changes. I don't know if Kevin...
Looked fine to me.
I saw them today. They looked good.
Okay. We need a motion to... I make a motion to accept the January 28th, 2015 meeting minutes.
I will second that. Third it.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Liza, you can't vote.
Oh.
So we have, not because we don't like you, but you weren't able to attend. So we have unanimous, and Liza did not vote because she was able to attend.
The November meeting?
The November meeting minutes, we also need to approve the November meeting minutes.
But look at who was here.
We have, at that meeting, we have Tom, Todd, Liza, and Ann. So we'll have to carry those meeting minutes over until a time that Todd is able to be here, which may be later tonight, or to the next meeting.
Yeah.
So the first agenda item for tonight, maybe we're going to recap the field allocation meeting. Was there anything?
Todd's not here,
okay.
So and he's the person that does that.
Okay.
So why don't we just put that at the bottom?
Okay. Was there anything? Is there anything worth noting at all? Or?
Probably just the opening.
The openings
delayed
will be delayed.
It was pretty much the usual request, but
Nothing new. No new organizations.
So no, the pasta. There've been a couple summer requests, but that really doesn't. It's more like the camp thing. So I'm working with. So
okay.
Just the pasta.
Okay, and the pasta is more they're expanding, or what?
I think they are expanding, but
I
don't know to what degree, and I don't know if it complicates anything for the
I
requests.
don't think it does. My son doesn't play for them, but has a lot of friends that do, and I think they've added some different age group teams that are mostly kids from. Majority of the kids do come from Norfolk, so that club is well represented with kids from Norfolk, so which is good. But I obviously Todd will be the one to have to, and all of us will have to.
I just don't know if
is that like a special league or?
No, it's a club soccer. So it's
outside.
It's
not like indoors. Okay.
No, they have indoor and outdoor teams, but it's not unlike Lions or Norfolk Soccer Club, which is the travel team. This is sort of a separate. So if you were to sort of say the pyramid, it would be sort of Lions would be where most kids enter, and then if they choose to continue, they can stay with Lions or move it up to Norfolk SC, which is more the travel.
Yeah.
And then if they want to go maybe up a little and get challenged a little bit more, then they could do a club, which is PASTA.
Oh, does that stand for something? Or?
It does. It's like performance something something something, but I don't know what it all stands for. But there's a lot of obviously jokes about it because it's pasta.
Yeah.
Every kid loves pasta. And there's the good thing is it's Melinda Williams, who's been here a number of times, is sort of I would say she's the club president, I believe. And, very nice lady, very hardworking, and lives in town and has a number of kids that are involved with the club. So and the people that I know that are involved really like the club. So I think it's another outlet for kids in town, and it actually has taken kids away from other clubs so they can play closer to home, which I think is actually...
So they don't travel? Do they travel?
Yeah, they do travel,
right?
But instead of joining a club that may be based in Hopkinton, where the kids have to travel to train, they can train right in Norfolk, which is good for the family. So I think it's sort of a win-win for the town. So. Okay. The next item is the CPC items, including Town Pond. Lots of emails about this. and I know.
I did attend that CPC meeting too,
Okay.
so.
To that meeting, you went, Ann, I know Ann went,
Yeah,
and Todd
Todd.
went, and Kevin went.
Oh, well, no, I meant, I went to the actual CPC,
Okay,
then I went
okay.
upstairs to the conservation.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
So, I sent the email, I think everyone saw that and tried to,
Yeah, there was a lot there.
state what Recreation's
Yep,
point
yep,
was.
that was clear, that was clear.
And then the day of the field allocation meeting, it was actually very late. It was probably 5:15 or 5:30. I ran into John Weddleton, and he said that that wasn't Conservation's position, that they were interested in having the feeder pipe fixed. And I was surprised. I mean, not only did Tom confirm what was said, but Cindy Andrade had confirmed the same thing. At the CPC meeting, we talked about what the pond would be like without the feeder pipe. So, but for whatever reason, they said that they would be interested, and I said, Recreation's taken a vote, and he just, he said, if you're around tonight, if you want to stop by, and I said, well, we have a field allocation meeting, but. And actually, Kevin left before I even had a chance to tell Todd about it, but Todd was still here at the very end, and I told him what happened. And I said, we can go up and see. I don't even know if they were still meeting, but they were. So they said that they were interested in having, I don't know if you saw it on TV, but they said they were interested in having the feeder pond fixed. And, part of the conversation was, well, you can do the notice of intent. And I said that we're not doing the notice of intent. If they wanted to proceed with the notice of intent, and that would be great, but they would need to do that. And then John did say that he had a conversation with Bob McGee, and Bob, just want to be careful that I don't get to repeat words unless I'm pretty clear on it, said that he volunteered to fix the feeder pipe for very little cost. I mean, he pretty much volunteered to do it. Maybe there would be some cost of materials and such. So, very different, position than what was first reflected. So I talked to Todd about it quickly and just said, I can send an email, even though it was voted to not work on it. I said, I think, considering the change of position, I can email the Recreation Commission and let them know there was a change in position. So I did that, and I let Bob know that if he could let us know what the cost would be, then you could make a decision. If you wanted to change your decision, that it would allow you to do that. It doesn't mean you have to. I mean, we just get more information so you can make it, stay the way you voted or change based.
He hasn't provided that yet.
No. Okay. And he did email back but just kind of a quick acknowledgement.
Maybe Todd and Kevin, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, because Ann in her email, she did mention also that John had said that the conservation agent, Anne Marie Simpson, would fill out all the paperwork relative to the notice of intent.
Marie Simpson?
Yeah.
The conservation, she's the secretary, the conservation.
No, I know that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said that.
No, I'm reading from your email. The conservation agent. This is your email to us. Do you want to look? I was thinking the way you had said it was just wanted to clarify. The conservation agent is not Marie. That's the secretary. There's a conservation agent, Anne Marie. I don't know what my email said. Because when I attended, so I think as a board, one of the things that we need to do, because when I went to the CPC meeting, which was the week before field allocation meeting and the conservation meeting, is that Cindy Andrade had said that there's $55,000 in that account that CPC has to fix the town pond, okay? Now, I think this goes back to even when Tom Gilbert, when he served on the Conservation Board, now he serves on the Board of Health, and when perhaps Alan Shaw served on the Conservation Board. But I think the Recreation Board, if we're serious about re-entertaining this, because when I went up to Conservation, because after this field allocation meeting was finished, I went right up there, and I sat in the back audience, and John Wendleton called on me, and he was wondering where you and Cindy were, because he thought you were appearing. So I spoke on behalf and said what the situation was, and he wasn't aware of what had transpired at the CPC, but when I was at that CPC meeting, I know you had mentioned that the agent that serves on the CPC meeting from the Conservation Commission was a
Dan.
nice gentleman, yes.
Yeah, he was right, he was there.
But when I was at that CPC meeting with you and Tom, he was very animated in his defense of wanting to keep this issue alive, and why did we? And he was, I saw, was so upset that after the CPC meeting, I spoke with the gentleman that serves on the CPC meeting.
Which gentleman? You
Well,
spoke to who?
I don't have to name the gentleman, but he said he had never seen Dan. So I'm not sure what the underlying issue was in terms of fixing Town Pond, but I think as a board we need to see where that easement is, do a site walk when the snow's gone, and see exactly what all of this intends, because there's a reason why they want this, or they feel, and it may be a good idea, but, and I'm not sure how we were told misinformation, because you were told misinformation, because you came to us, and at that meeting, that last recreation meeting, you and I were looking at one another, Ken, and asking you, well, what do you want us to do? In 1 minute you sounded like you want us to abandon it, in 1 minute you sounded like you wanted us to keep it alive. So we voted. Then I went to the CPC, and John mentioned about you bumping into him at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and things had happened and transpired, and that's fine. But the CPC they're kind of like full steam ahead, because they voted to put up a sign where the commuters park their cars at the old town hall, so they can put up like a 4x6 sign to show the benefits of if we authorize the Conservation Commission and the DPW to take on this project. Because as you know, we're the funding source.
Where the funding?
Yeah, the conservation, well, as far as the CPC money flows to the Recreation Commission, but the Conservation Commission, as on TV John had mentioned, they don't have the funds to repair that pond. So much like when the planning board has issues, whether it's Lake Street or whether, tree cutting and stuff, if we're gonna revisit this, I think it would be wise as a board that we take a site walk, perhaps with all the parties involved, with the Conservation Commission, with Bob McGee, with Cindy Andrade from the CPC, and see what, why is this a good project to move forward? When Tom has been on record saying at the CPC meeting that we have other more pressing issues.
The only thing I would say, since I wasn't at the meeting I wasn't at the allocation meeting, I didn't go to the other meetings, I have no problems revisiting it, but what I would prefer we do is not revisit it as individual boards. I think if we're going to revisit it, there needs to be and I don't know if we could set it up this way, but there needs to be a single forum for all of those parties, CPC, Recreation, and who else would be involved? Conservation.
Yeah.
We all need to be at that meeting before a site visit is done, because
Okay.
we may come to the conclusion that now, the other thing that would be important is my vote, and I think all of us voted on the information we had at hand, which I have no reason to believe that it was incorrect. It was given by two sources, and I think the vote was unanimous. So I think if if we got it wrong information, which it appears we did,
I don't know that we got wrong information. I
or
think
maybe
something-
misinterpreted, or not by. I'm not saying
Can we
misinterpreted
identify
by.
the sources, or are we, because we've
well,
mentioned other names.
I think you already did. You said that.
Because you ran into John, was it Dan or what? Because when I read your email, conservation was not as told to us that conservation is interested in fixing the pond and that they will help. So the conservation's position was not as told to us. It was really told to you because they didn't tell. As a sitting member myself, you came to, at our last meeting, you mentioned that, what do I do?
So the information was told to myself, and Tom was there as well, when we did the Vizela sidewalk. And that's and Dan spoke to both of us at that time. Dan also gave that information to the CPC at the committee, and I did confirm it with Cindy that that was the information.
So just let me clarify. So the information that Dan, was this animated Dan, for lack of a better name? Is this the same Dan that was animated?
Was very upset, yes. Dan Crofton, yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
he
know.
serves on the CPC.
So you don't know that?
I don't know that he
Okay.
was.
Okay. No. No.
Well, you were at the
no,
meeting.
Let me
I was,
finish. What I'm saying is, animated was at the meeting Kevin was at.
Right, Dan crafted.
Yeah. So not when you spoke with him. I mean when Kevin is describing using that word. At the meeting he attended, not the site visit where
Right, I
you was
understand.
done.
Right.
So I
I
just
was at
wanna-
that meeting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that's not my term. I mean you guys can debate about that term, but
No, there's
I'm
no
not going
reason
to.
to.
But so it was Dan and Cindy had both confirmed that. So then changing course and saying no, we actually wanted the pipe fixed. That came from John.
Yes.
Okay. So those are all the people that seem to be
And
involved.
at the last recreation meeting, I did present what Dan had said, and then you went to vote, and I did hesitate a bit, and I stopped because, and it wasn't because I was changing my tune or anything else, it was just because I think I said, I was only told the information, I hadn't gotten anything from conservation, or there was nothing in writing.
Yeah.
It was a conversation. But then Tom did confirm that this was the same information that
Yes.
was given to CPC as well. So that's when I wasn't changing anything, I was just hesitating a little bit because I didn't have a piece of paper.
It's just that,
in front of
what's
me.
helpful is when we have these meetings, is as far as the open communication, the background, it's important for me as a board member that when you talk at a previous meeting, if you could say that Tom, who's a member of the CPC, he's our designate, and yourself, when you were on recreation business for a different issue, had a discussion with Dan Crafton, relative to the town pond, while speaking also about purchasing the Vizela property, so that I can see where all of this is.
Oh, I thought we did say that at the last meeting.
Well,
Maybe I'm not
unfortunately-
understanding.
It wasn't videotaped, so.
Well, whether it's videotaped or not, but that actually brings up a good point. Whenever anyone,
Because you've actually mentioned to myself when I've gone stray from the board and represented the board.
well, that's what I was going to say. I think whenever anyone has a discussion, conversation, or whatever, I do think it's important that we have some clarity so everybody kind of has a sense, and I think that would hold true for you just as well as it does for anybody else.
I mean, that's why even regarding the town pond, if I hadn't been to that CPC meeting, right, I wouldn't, as a recreation member, have found out that they have $55,000 sitting in an account dedicated for fixing town pond.
So why don't they fix it?
You can have a discussion with Cindy if you'd like.
I don't-
I mean, because they can't do it, they need the recreation.
Go ahead,
It's not them.
I believe the meeting that we voted to abandon the project at the town pond, I did state there was $55,000 left in that account.
Oh, I guess I didn't hear that then, sorry.
our reasoning for abandoning town pond was we didn't want to go through the permitting process. It's a lengthy, time-consuming ordeal.
I totally understand.
We have more important things to do.
And
But now that conservation wants to fix their feeder pipe, I'm willing to vote to rescind our vote on abandoning the town pond.
But who is it? Whose feeder pipe is it? I mean, it's the town pond, right? So
What do you mean
The
use?
town pond belongs to Conservation Commission.
it belongs to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
Recreation asked for it belongs to Conservation. Recreation had always used it for us swimming.
Up until like what year?
Yeah, I think it was 95, 96 we stopped because of,
It was a little bit before that, because in 1995, they did the Interceptor project, and that's when they built that
So
barn.
20 years ago.
It's at least, yeah.
That's when I
Yeah.
moved into town. Yeah.
it sat there dormant ever since, and then in previous commissions decide to try to upgrade the pond, and we applied to CPC for funds to do it. Some of the work got done, and then the feeder pipe got unplugged or broken, and things just came to a standstill on it.
Because you had said like it's kind of like overgrown with weeds and stuff now, but and I told John at the conservation meeting I didn't have a problem re-entertaining. I mean, I'm not for or against it at this point, but this new information, I think, you know, what is going to be the benefit? I think that's why you're right, Ken. I think we all have to get together in a meeting and can coordinate it. It doesn't have to be our normal recreation meeting. It can be a separate meeting. And maybe we can ask, put it out to Norfolk Net and ask the town residents how they would feel about, because before my thought was, I never realized the pond across from the paint factory was named Comey Pond, and still we decided, you know, we were looking at property nearby. The Department of Fisheries and Wildlife can stock that pond if fishing is the priority or the need, but as far as fixing a pipe, does it put sewage in or is it a feeder pipe? Dan is like a biologist. As when I went to that meeting, I could tell when I asked him questions or talked about it, when I went up to their conservation meeting, he knows his scientific stuff, so he can tell us the reasoning why it would be a benefit to fix that pipe. And
I mean, I can talk to you about this, how the town pond was built. We have a map right over there. It may help.
well, all of us, really. I mean, you know, not just myself, but you're right. I mean, all the rec members.
one other thing is, it wasn't just the pipe that we were concerned about, it was also the upkeep.
Right.
That was the other piece that we
Yeah.
didn't know what the impact is. So we fix it, fine, now it works.
Right.
What about all, you know, and I don't know what somebody smarter than me needs to know what goes into maintaining
Well,
a pond that could be used for whatever it's deemed to be used for. I don't know what that upkeep is, but that was the other piece. So it wasn't just fixing the pipe that's being
Right.
alluded to. It was also the knock-on effect of, okay, the pipe's fixed. Now what?
Well, one of the reasons I emailed.
And also, the other, sorry to interrupt, but the other piece was that that pond is very close to where the commuter rail is, correct?
Yes.
And that there's no fence there, despite the fact the fence was supposed to be put there. So there were many issues. It wasn't just the pipe, and I'm being very specific because I want all this other stuff noted, that it wasn't just the pipe. It was many other things as well.
But when the pipe broke, that fixing the pipe, when DPW did go down and unearthed it, I mean, it's not a short, I mean, and I'm estimating only, it could be 50 to 80 feet of pipe, but we don't know the cost of that.
Right.
And certainly I didn't know Bob McGee had volunteered to do it. Based on the last time he went down, it took almost several months before he got down there with his crew to evaluate it. I mean, it's not something that DPW guys don't have a lot of free time. But perhaps he has some equipment that is new or something that we don't know about.
There might be some special equipment.
Tom, what's the easiest way to access it? Because one of the concerns I had with, that John eased is that, a few years ago in the spring, is that we were pretty on the fast track to sell the old town hall. And with that could probably include the parking lot, but he assured me there was an easement, and you would know this, that there would be access to that town pond. Where is like the trail or the easement to, because once the weather breaks, I might just walk in there myself and see what it looks like.
It's to the left of the garage, the white garage in the back. There's actually a fence, there's a driveway.
And you can get back there?
It's a road.
You can drive.
Okay, all right.
Any more discussion on the town? Because
I just wanted to finish what I was saying about the cost of fixing the pipe. I mean, because there's $55,000. Not knowing how much fixing that pipe will cost.
Yeah.
And that's why I had asked Bob McGee to give us that price or that estimate so we can figure out from there, where do we go? I mean, if it's going to cost, and if it's an asbestos pipe, there may be some additional costs.
Yeah.
To repairing it. I don't know, I don't know. But that would give us an idea of what would be left.
Well, I also think that's part of the overall discussion. I mean, I don't know how easy getting a representative. You're shaking your head.
I think that we may need to go to Recreation may need to go to Conservation based on the past of what we've needed to do.
Can we have the other organization there as well, or a representative from there? Well, you're saying we have to go to Congress.
I think we just based on the past, usually it would be Recreation would go to a Conservation meeting.
Okay.
What do you mean, other representative?
We want to have the CPC there as well.
Well, Tom could go, Dan is on the Conservation
Because what I don't want to
Commission.
have is a situation where we go to one meeting, okay, and then we go to a separate meeting. Why can't we just have representatives from, and it sounds like you're saying, that's fine, then I think.
And we can certainly ask Cindy to be there.
Then I think we should try to do
She's the
that.
chair, so
We should aim to do that and have all of the issues, not just we've got 55,000, because that 55,000 could fix half a pipe.
Right.
And then we're stuck with, okay, we've got half a pipe fixed, or we've got enough to fix half a pipe, or we've got enough to fix the entire pipe. What's needed to upkeep the pond after that? And I don't know that.
We haven't even talked about the fishing.
We haven't talked about
the
anything.
fishing landings or whatever, right?
We've got.
But in Ann's email, this is why, like,
Go ahead.
when you
What
talk
does
about
it
the
say?
asbestos, but it says the DPW would do a lot of the work at no cost or minimal cost. So to me, that means.
That was what was told to me by John. I haven't heard that from Bob McGee.
Okay, well, this is why then.
That's why
I don't
sent
think we
Bob
need to
that
go to
email.
conservation. I think because if we can vote, they should come to our board, because we're the board that they need us to authorize the funding from. They're gonna do all the paperwork as far as the filing and everything, the conservation. They should come before our board. And perhaps if Bob McGee, you can arrange to have Bob McGee come in here, so we're on full alert as far as how this will all play out. And then we can talk about everything, not just fixing the pipe. What's the short-term goal? What's the long-term goal? Maybe they don't have to erect that sign down there that they're going to erect this spring. that they mentioned at the CPC meeting about the benefits of correcting the pipe. They approved at that meeting to put a sign, much like Peter Chipman has across from the post office, his property. You know, one of those signs to highlight the benefits of restoring the old town pond. That's what I heard at that meeting.
I thought it was a sign with paying some, bringing in Ken Wood and talking about the original owner, and I think that was part of the original project anyway, but I didn't realize it was anything, I don't remember it being any further than that, but
Yeah, they're gonna erect a sign.
So it sounds like the action maybe is to try to have a meeting, either we go to them or they come to us. I don't need to have a big contest about who goes where, as long as the meeting takes place, that's it. But you had said something about there's $55,000, and am I to assume that we have to request that? Because that's what's being said, and I don't know the answer to that. But is that, you said there's $55,000 to
Cindy
fix,
said that.
to fix the town pond.
No, well, in that account for, I don't know all the history. Tom would know more about it, Ann would know more about it.
Because that's what's been said, there's $55,000 to fix town pond.
Yeah, well, that's what Cindy, that's when I was at that meeting, that's what she said.
so there is 50, but that's the amount that they gave us and Tom had confirmed that before.
Okay, right, as you had said.
And the original scope of that project is that map.
Can you
over
boil
there.
it down? What's the original?
Yeah, can we
scope?
put that on TV for the viewing
Well, yeah, you
audience?
can turn it. You can. Yeah. No, you don't have to move it. He'll
Oh,
he can
okay.
probably move his big nose.
We originally asked for $80,000, and we don't have to go to CPC to get approval to spend it. It's our money to spend on the town pond as long as it stays within the scope of the article that was passed.
Okay.
Well, that's good information to know.
Do we know if the pipe was part of the scope?
No, it was not.
The pipe was not part of the scope.
But we went back to them.
No, I don't. No, I just because you're saying that's good to know. But
Yeah.
The pipe wasn't broken.
But so then that's important that if the pipe was not part of the scope.
Excuse me, the pipe was not part of the original plan. We went back to CPC asking
Mhm.
if they would consider the pipe as part of the scope to
Yeah.
see if the money could be spent to fix the pipe.
Yeah.
And they said that it was.
Okay.
Even though,
Yes.
so it wasn't
Okay.
part of the
But
it was
now
never
it
part
is.
of the original
Right,
plan.
but I was
It
It would have.
yeah.
Okay, so I should have let you
Yeah.
finish. So we've got 55,000. It looks like a lot of beautification, and if I remember, there were going to be like a walk there, and
There was a
benches
path,
and
there was
path
parking,
and
there was
parking, right.
accessible parking, there
Right.
was a path around Town Pond.
Right.
There
Okay.
was up to 3 fishing platforms.
Right. That's right.
There was fencing.
Right. Okay. Okay.
2010 was the drawing was done
That was
5
the
years ago.
updated one.
Yeah.
Right, it started in
Right.
2006.
So I see that's the thing. I mean, as a newly elected member, I process the information. Sometimes I find that, the more information I can get, and now I'm getting even more and more and more, like what Tom's saying as far as the 80,000. Sometimes I feel like I have to, it's part of my college degree, but I have to extract this information to make good decisions in terms of, what we should do, I should do, and the board should do. This history, I think it's important when these issues come up before us, that Tom has a working history, he's served on the board for 30 years. All of this should be on the table for new members so that they understand the whole, and like at the last meeting, it was the pipe and we were going to have to do all the legwork and this and that, and I didn't really ask too many questions, but we agreed as a board that, we have other higher priorities. It doesn't make sense for us to be doing all the footwork. And then I just try to gather more research. I go to the CPC, I find more about the situation. then I go to conservation, so that, and I think it's important when whoever comes where, is that we have Bob McGee at the table.
Okay.
I mean, because he's the man that has offered to do the work at no or minimal cost.
Right.
Just fixing the pipe.
Yes.
And then this.
And
this,
we're waiting for what
this,
that.
This is, we have 80,000 in the kitty, right?
No,
to
didn't
do
we say
this?
we asked for 80.
It's down to 55,000.
Down to 55. So we have $55,000 to do this.
Yes,
That's
that
the-
was the proposal at that time, and now perhaps we could revisit what that is if
That
we
was the
choose to do
full-blown
that.
proposal. We
Right.
were not necessarily committed to do every single portion of that, but that was the full-blown.
Can I just ask, like, what caused the Recreation Commission to hit the brakes on this back whenever they did?
The feeder pipe broke,
The feeder pipe, yeah.
Okay, so that, and that goes back to,
2 years.
Yeah.
okay, so only 2 years,
Yeah,
so
not that long ago.
2013 of,
Yeah.
okay.
Karen
So
was
this
on,
happened-
It was Karen and Ben.
This is
and-
what, all right.
Yeah, it wasn't that long
It wasn't
ago.
long, no.
I mean, it was
So
something.
you were on the board then?
Yeah, I mean, it was
Okay.
something, it had a significant amount of overgrowth of various things, and there had been a lot of work, I think, put into it, and then
We
this feeder
cleared,
pipe issue, there was a lot of actually stuff that was cleared.
yeah.
And then the fence was supposed to be put in by the MBTA, I believe.
And we said
The
that could
fence
be
is
a,
put in on the wrong side for the pond.
Yes, it's always been on, they were gonna put it
Yeah.
on this side too.
Why'd they do the other side?
That was done years ago because
Yeah.
the school.
No, they just
So I
did
think
it.
there were a lot of
They
issues
They
that,
just did it in the fall.
and then this
all the
feeder
way
pipe
down
issue
from
came up,
Freeman
and
all
then
the
that
way down
was
to
pretty much.
Seacon.
see, so,
Oh, I
as a
don't know.
board, when you were there and when
there.
Tom, you guys voted not to hit the brakes
We
a couple of
voted.
years ago, right? When
Well, I wouldn't
when-
say we voted to hit the brakes. It became a obstacle, and I don't recall there being a specific vote to hit anything.
Oh, okay.
I think,
We tried to get
I
the-
think it was, and maybe somebody, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but I think we just said, we've got other things that we could look at.
Well, we,
That's.
so when we noticed that the feeder pipe was broken, we had Rob Truax, the engineer, come down and he looked at it. He tried to blow it out. He brought down, his brother is the person that blows out the drains on the side of the road. They brought down some very heavy equipment and tried to blow the pipe out and tried to figure out where the break was. It was about, and they could only get about 20 feet back. And that's, so I mean, we were trying to do things to make it work. And then that's when we talked to Bob McGee about going down, and it did take him quite some time to get down there with his guys last fall, and figure out where, and his goal was to figure out where the pipe was broken, but what he found was that the entire pipe was broken. It's not one place, it's the whole pipe.
All right.
And then we'll, I mean, because conservation definitely seems, they want this to move forward, that's why we're revisiting it basically.
So it seems like the action is to try to set the meeting up.
Well, do you want to wait to get a price from Bob McGee and then set the meeting up, or do you want to just, would you want to wait for the price first?
Can we work the two in parallel?
That question would have to,
I mean, how long is it?
Bob's
I mean-
been
I
down
mean,
there with his guys, I don't know.
Perhaps maybe we could say, is Bob, we would like to have the three groups discuss this project, and having an estimate on the repair of the pipe is one of the principal questions.
Right, so would you like to know that estimate before the meeting, or,
I think that would be beneficial.
okay,
It
so
would
we
be hard
get the
to-
estimate to fix
It would be hard to have a meaningful discussion
Yep.
without that information.
Okay, so I'll reiterate back to him that we had this discussion and that we'd like to get the estimate, and we'd like to meet with everyone, but we'd like to have the estimate before the meeting, is that
Is
correct?
that reasonable? Is that,
Yeah, I
is
just
that what
think
we're
it
saying?
might be hard with the weather now, I mean, we're probably looking at, like you said, when the
Well, they
snow
did the
melts,
work.
right?
I don't think it's urgent.
Or
I mean,
yeah.
I think if it,
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think
But
it's
you know,
urgent.
if you watch other boards, you know how things come like before the planning board and they did something 6 months ago and then now we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna be back like 3 months, remember, what did we, you know?
We've got excellent notes, and we've got NCT.
So I'm holding, you know, if his employees are doing it at no cost or minimal cost, that sounds like a pretty good deal. And if we could throw him some money and help him out, maybe we could do that. The town employees that worked on it, you know?
That's your opinion.
Oh, I know, oh yeah,
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, DPW.
I'm saying because
We can
he
talk
says
about
no
that.
or minimal cost, we keep thinking, he said, but I guess we have to get a written contract from our town you know, superintendent saying, because if he's telling no or minimal cost,
He didn't tell me that, he told John that, so that's secondhand, so, but DPW.
I don't think he'd lie to John, but that maybe,
No one's lying to anyone.
Oh, I know.
mean, it's just, no one's lying
Yeah.
to anyone.
So is that our
Um,
action?
But DPW does bill for work that they do. They bill us for materials, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And then the other, you know, depending on what it is, there may be equipment they need to rent or
Right.
need to get from somewhere else. So
Right.
although there may be no cost in terms of we've got people that know how to work that equipment. If they've got to get equipment from somewhere, then there could be some potential cost. And I don't do that sort of work, so I have no idea. But we have to rely on them to.
but you're right, I mean, I see the town governors, the town fathers, they have streamlining processes and stuff, and it's like, only reason I was before that conservation commission is I went on the Norfolk net and saw the agenda and saw that the town pond was on the agenda, but maybe we should have invited them here to this meeting, you know, to kind of like, instead of this snail process, like, you know what I mean, like going back and forth.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe we can
I mean-
do that next time. Budget, is this a follow-up of our discussion regarding,
I haven't talked to Jack about the town budget. I don't know if, I think you mentioned he didn't get back to you.
I emailed him about a couple of issues. One is the next issue, which is the commission trying to hire a part-time secretary to take minutes and do some other work, and you know, I'm sure Jack's hands are full with a number of issues, and he probably just hasn't had a chance to get back to me. But as I hear from him, I will share his responses, and then we can put it back on the agenda for next month. Does anybody have any concerns with that or issues with that approach? Also, Anne had, the next item is the school, the renewed I'm not sure what the renewed partnership piece is.
The school has a policy that, it's a partnership program they have with different organizations, and in order to use space, use backpacks, etc., there's an application that's done each year. So I just wanted to let you know that
Okay.
I renewed that partnership application.
And there's no cost, right?
No,
Okay.
nope, it's just,
Time and energy.
Time and energy. Yep. And the same thing with respect to the space that is now vacant. That was previously occupied by NCTV. I'm still waiting to hear from Jack on use of that space for recreation programs, which is sorely needed.
What would we use that space for?
There's a number of
Program.
programs that are currently taking place there in a very small and confined
Such as?
space.
practicing preschool and all the summer programs for the preschool.
All the summer programs.
For the
They're
preschool.
indoors? They're indoors or?
They're mostly indoors. We do go outdoors, but they're young children and they're not outdoors for 3 hours. Although we do go out for a little while.
That's nice.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to use that space or work with the school and Jack to be able to be allotted that space.
It would be nice to have additional space there.
Should we like give him a tickler, like a reminder to see?
Yeah,
you know,
I'll do it
This
again.
has been a few
Yeah, I'll do it again.
meetings that we just keep like,
Yeah, and if I don't hear
swamped.
from him, I'll just either stop by or just give him a call.
right.
Summer programs,
Working on the spring and summer programming now.
what's new?
Yeah.
What's new?
What's new? Like, really, what's new?
Not what's new.
I'm not sure what will be new. We've got a few things in the works for the summer. Some different types of art programs, but our regular programming, such as the summer playground program, and our Fun in the Sun program, which are the most popular programs, will be back.
At
So,
Palm Street
no-
again.
The summer playground will be at Pond Street. The preschool programs will hopefully be at Freeman Kennedy again
Okay.
this year,
As we were talking, the
as we were
space.
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I would ask, last year, I think you guys offered a program of having different sports from different parts of the world. I don't know what it was
Yeah.
called, but I don't know if we could do it. But my son and I have been watching a lot of cricket,
You know, we
which
used
I don't
to-
understand one bit.
We actually used to have a global sports. We ran.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So we we didn't run last year. We ran that program probably for the last time
And maybe that's
about
why
5 years
nobody
ago.
wanted to
But
do it.
for 3 or 4 years, it was very popular.
Was it?
Yeah, we always ran it the last, within the last couple of weeks of August. It was very popular, and of all the kids that took it, they all voted for their favorite sport. It was always cricket.
Yeah.
But it just sort of died off.
Yeah.
But it was run by an organization that didn't have a lot of strength in New England, and is actually
okay.
now recently back. U.S.
Oh,
Sports.
okay.
They reopened
Oh,
an
maybe-
office
so
in
maybe
Needham.
that would. Who knows?
So maybe we'll talk to them about that.
Yeah.
Oh, adults play over across, I think it's from the Rentham.
Yeah, playing
Tavern
Rentham.
there.
Yeah, there's a whole field area already
See
set
them
up
on
over
like
there.
Sundays or
Yeah,
weekends, yeah.
it's actually. And the last item is the football. We had invited Jim Caro, I'm not sure who is I believe the president of the Pop Warner football to come, but he had a conflict today. So what we'd like to do is there's been some issues that the commission has been informed about involving water and some other items that he has not referred to in his email, but we'll carry those over until a time in which he can come to the board and have a discussion about what those issues are. It's probably not, it's something that's best discussed face to face, and he's actually agreed to with that as well, so we'll invite him to the next meeting.
We deferred field allocation to some degree to the last.
But before we get there, now that we have the proper people here that can vote on the November 10th Recreation Commission 2014. We have Tom, Todd, Liza. Do you guys want to jog your memory?
I'm familiar with
I am too.
I did read them, yes.
Okay, so I can't do anything, so you guys gotta.
Someone needs to make a motion.
Yeah.
I make a motion to pass the November
I have one, yeah, thanks.
2014 minutes.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
We abstain.
Approved.
And Todd, was there anything, as you and attended the allocation meeting, anything that struck you as, oh no, we have an issue, or
No,
anything different?
I just gotta put it together.
Okay.
I did want to go back to the summer programming a bit. We mentioned something at the last meeting, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, as the possible pricing of the summer playground program, which is, we had talked about $2. So,
Yeah.
and then I
Does
am.
everybody remember that? Okay.
Okay, so I did also want to talk to you about, there's a person that has proposed a couple of offering a couple of classes. She works for the SAC program, but she'd like to work more, and that's a person that I'm probably going to bring on board to help with the coordination of the other programs. She can do her programs a little bit later in the afternoon. It'll just be 1 or 2 weeks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the preschool programs are very busy, with 40 kids coming each week, and all 3 and 4 years old. So there's a lot of coordination that needs to take place for that program, and we could really use some help there, especially because during those programs, I mean, I could do that, but then I'm not at any other program. So she's going to help with the coordination of
Who is she?
that program.
Name?
Karen McCarthy.
Karen.
So is this a new position?
It's a new position because in addition to, it's a new position to have, yes, one person do it. And we've had, sometimes
what would normally take, what happened last year?
well,
For
sometimes,
the preschool that you're talking about?
so sometimes the counselors will do it, but what happens is parents with, especially of that age children, want to speak to the counselors
Okay.
about specific issues.
Yeah.
And it all happens very quickly.
Right.
So there's a check-in process, so it's very hard for the counselors, especially the lead staff,
Yeah.
to devote time to address to individuals,
Yeah.
which may need to be done, as well as checking everyone in. You can't do both
Yeah.
without extending the check-in time to be very
So
long.
the benefit is that it's sort of one person in charge of.
Right, it's a more coordinated check-in process. I mean, we have to make sure we have all our ducks in a row, and at that age, we don't just sign in. We ask their questions that people fill out. We have to make sure that we have everything in place.
So this will be her sole responsibility.
Right, and
then
yes.
the other piece, in terms of her teaching classes, is
Well,
that new or
That's
existing?
new, yes.
Okay.
There's another person that she's going to be working with, which is very typical in our summer programs,
Okay.
that we add some.
Yeah. Is the preschool a half day?
It's 3 hours in the morning for 4 days. It's not a preschool.
Right. So she would take care of essentially drop off and pick up.
Yes.
Okay. So the parents would probably like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would think.
it gets very, very busy.
Yeah. So there's a singular person of contact, so
Right.
we know who to speak to if there's an issue or whatever.
With registration. I mean, we have
Yeah.
people sometimes get confused on where they're supposed to go. They drop off, they're not in the right place, and then we can have one person working on that, where we have the staff actually.
But there would still be
addressing.
other counselors involved, but she would be sort of the primary
Yeah,
person.
no, there absolutely,
Has to be,
there
yeah,
has
'cause
to be.
There's 40 kids. so.
Right, but
Okay,
what it would
that's-
allow
yeah.
is the.
They would like, I think
this-
most parents would appreciate that. I think. I know I would. That's a good idea. And so, is she already at the camp normally anyway? Is she already
She
part of the?
hasn't worked for me in the past.
Oh, she hasn't, okay.
No, she does work for the after-school program,
Okay. Funding for this? Not an issue?
not an issue.
Okay.
It's through our
Our
Budget.
through
current
program.
accounts.
No, it's through the
Or-
programming, it's not,
primary-
right,
the
it's
current
through
accounts we have.
right, the fees for the programs pay for
Excellent.
all of this.
Well, that includes our agenda. With the exception of
Next meeting. Right?
next meeting. I've got 2 phones to look at the calendar. Todd, we have an over-under on when the last bit of snow is going to be melted.
Melted
Yeah. Go on. No more snow.
in the
We're not
entire
betting,
town.
just so everybody knows. There's no money exchange.
We could be talking about May.
We're into May. We got 2 Mays already.
I'm up May 5th.
I'm sure.
So the next, so we're into March.
I have to scoot. Okay.
March
Okay,
23rd,
so-
March 16th.
Hey,
So today's the 23rd, so should we, when is April, there is no March vacation, right?
Unless
We
you
can-
Not unless you wanna take one. Yeah, just let me know
We'll
what
let
it
you know.
is.
Thanks, Liza.
okay.
Night.
Night.
We could do the 16th or the 23rd. The 16th gives us 1, 2, 3 weeks, the 23rd gives us 4 weeks.
I'd say the 23rd if we're going to bring people in. That'll give them enough lead time.
March
Their
23rd?
schedules, I know.
March 23rd? Is that okay with everyone?
It's fine with me.
Yeah.
Time to start.
Thank you, everyone. Our meeting is adjourned.